What if General MacArthur hadn't used the island hopping strategy to defeat Japan? General Douglas MacArthur was an American in charge of invading Japan during World War II. He came up with the island hopping strategy to isolate Japan. So what if he hadn't came up with that strategy? How would he defeat Japan without the island hopping strategy? In the next few minutes, I will describe some of many alternative outcomes for this portion of World War II. First of all, what was the island hopping strategy? It was a plan in November of 1943 created by General Douglas MacArthur. He was the commander of the Allied forces. This strategy only took place in the Pacific Ocean. Islands were secured using airfields and anchorages to get closer to Japan. This shortened the distances between the Allies and Japan. As they moved closer to Japan, MacArthur built landing strips and cut off supplies from Japan on each island. They bypassed the useless islands and only used the strategic ones. So what if General MacArthur wasn't thinking that day and just didn't know how to defeat Japan? If the idea of island hopping didn't come to mind, he could have turned to any other common military strategy. In this case, attrition warfare, blockades or sieges, and command of the sea would have all been useful. All of these tactics would have been just as successful. Attrition warfare is a strategy of wearing down the enemy to the point of collapse through a continuous loss of supplies. It would be necessary for MacArthur to use the islands to gain control of Japan's supplies. This strategy is very effective and works almost like island hopping. Blockades and sieges are attempts to cut off food, supplies, materials, or communications from a particular area by force. These methods usually take place in the sea. If MacArthur used these strategies, it would have taken much longer but would have been just as effective. Lastly, there's the command of the sea tactic. It is achieved by gaining almost total control of the sea in that area, attacking the means of production, and preventing the enemy from battle. This tactic focuses primarily on defense but also helps with the offensive side. The Allied forces could have easily closed in on Japan if they couldn't attack. If MacArthur had used this strategy, the Japanese might have even surrendered, knowing that the Allied forces had controlled most of the Pacific Ocean. Now we know that General MacArthur, the commander of the Allied forces, could have chosen any kind of military strategy to isolate Japan. Instead, he created his own, island hopping. It was successful. If he hadn't came up with this method, he could have used a common military strategy. Attrition warfare, blockades, sieges, and command of the sea would have worked out just as well and maybe even better.